Level 4, Certificate Education and Training. Unit 5, Using Resources in Education and Training. In the next clip, I will show you 10 resources that I use within my classroom sessions to make sure that I'm reaching minimum core and helping my teachers. This piece of work is a resource that I send teachers that are excelling in the football. The reading level is to graduate level. I have different clips along here with tabs that they can select to go on to different interventions that they can use to then help them in some of their sessions. The pros and cons. The pros of this session is that there is a lot of technical detail. Students that like reading will find this quite useful. The bad cons are the fact that there is no demonstrations. Although it says technical, tactical, a lot of students might get confused between technical and tactical. So it is quite confusing as there's no videos or pictures. In future, I would probably have links with videos to then try and help the students. Technical. See, there's quite a lot of information and images within this video. However, there are no videos. So I would definitely add videos to then try and improve it and help reach minimum core with those students that find it a little bit easier to use visual. This is Google Form. I'm new to it and I've only just been introduced to it. However, I find it brilliant. I use it for all my initial assessments with teachers. It's an online resource that teachers can access very easily through an emailed link. I do this before I even go to the school. The resource that I've created here is one on technique. So Google Forms is brilliant for adding not only pictures, but you can also add questions. There's different text, titles, images, and a YouTube clip to then help teachers understand more about the technique. Although it's fantastic and can be accessed online, it does have its cons. It needs internet. If a teacher isn't at school or is outside when using this resource, it's quite hard to get internet on iPads outside in the classroom. This next resource is a short-term plan that I've sent to a teacher with different sessions on and elaborating the learning objectives that I would put for my students. This is a fantastic resource. Not only does it show the teacher what I would be delivering personally, it gives them an idea of what they can deliver. These items up here makes it a bit creative so the teachers can actually create their own little section here if they want to. The cons, dragging these pictures is very, very annoying. So trying to create this is quite hard at times. We've colour coded it so it makes it a little bit more easier for the teachers to understand, especially with the technical, psychological, physical and social side. The cons, you need a computer or an iPad with a Word document to use this item. You can then email it so it can be accessed anywhere over the world, or any classroom that you go to, it can be accessed. I believe that I probably could develop it even more and do some online sessions, maybe create Hive, send it to Hive so that there's more information that I can add to it. My next resource is Deal or No Deal. This is a presentation PowerPoint which I use and send directly to my teachers via email. It's a great game to not only interact with students and make it a bit more friendly, TV friendly, making it a bit more competitive and that they can do it on their own. Students will pick a box. Behind each box is a question. If they get it correct, they correct the box and they get to answer a new question. This can be done on their own. For example, what age is the foundation phase of players? The answers aren't directly there, which means they've got to guess it. They can either deal or no deal. If they deal correctly, it's great. Only thing is, if they don't know the answer, it's quite hard and difficult. So if they don't know the answer, they'll press no deal. However, I can't directly help them with this. They've got to do it on their own via the computer. It's definitely a game where you need to use more than one student. However, because my classroom lessons are quite small, I only ever teach one student at a time in front of 30 children. So it's quite difficult delivering a presentation PowerPoint to a teacher while delivering to 32 children. This document is called a matrix. It easily splits out so that the teachers can understand which key stage group they're using, what level they should be at, and what sort of things they can be trying to help them with. It's called acquiring and developing, selecting and applying, knowledge and understanding of health and fitness, and evaluating and improving. There's lots of different suggestions which we can use to help our teachers. For this section here, I've highlighted the ones that I'd like my teacher to try and concentrate on. By doing this, it allows her not only to understand what she can achieve, but where she is at the moment in terms of her understanding with the football sessions. This is a great resource that I use, and it's great for not only the teacher keeping and using as a backup and sharing with other students, but it is great for her own personal learning development, so she can actually see where she is and what she can achieve. The only thing that I would change about it is when I give it to her and highlight it, is probably sit down with her and explain why she is at these two different resources, why she's here, and how we can try and develop them, and these two here, what can we do next to then try and help her develop even further. This is individual possession. This is another matrix that I use for teachers. However, this matrix I've actually made a little bit harder. I've used a web link called Literate, and I've copied and pasted each of these words in to find out what the level reading is of this age. The level reading is level 4. Compared to the last document that I showed you, which was level 2 and above, for my learners that are a little bit more literate, this is probably the resource that I would send them, just because I don't want to make it really easy for them. However, there are only certain words that I can use within my sessions. Trying to reach minimum core is quite hard, especially when I'm only teaching one person. So by changing the different language within these little plans that I do, makes it a little bit more challenging for them, and for those that need a little bit of help, makes it a bit easier. Another resource that I use are footballs. These are a great visual aid and demonstration kinesthetic aid that I use for my teachers. They're great. I've had quite a lot of teachers that have actually used a football before and learnt something by doing a demonstration which they've actually not been taught, whether it would be learn how to pass a football. This teacher needs to learn it so that she can teach the children within her class and actually pass the PTA course that I deliver. There are quite a few cons to it. The football does travel a lot quicker because it's quite light, especially in sports hall. The football will travel quite quickly along the floor, meaning that it's harder to control. There are ways around it. You could use a futsal football, which looks exactly the same, it's just weighted, so it's a little bit heavier and slows the football down so that the children and the teachers find it a little bit more easier. They look exactly the same. The only cons to it is if we are inside a sports hall or on a playground, it's quite hard to teach football without a football, so you do need a football to teach it. The whiteboard is my favourite resource. It's fantastic for not only writing learning objectives down, but for actually drawing demonstrations for the teachers and students that are learning from my lessons. I find them a fantastic tool. However, during the rain, it's hard to demonstrate on a whiteboard. Not only that, it's a pain taking it to and from lessons with you. It's quite heavy and it needs storing. It's not very practical. But it's great for sticking things on. If you've got a lesson when it's going to be raining, print some paper and laminate it with your learning objectives on so you can stick it on a whiteboard. The cons are you're going to need quite a big whiteboard if you're going to be writing learning objectives and sticking it with laminated paper. Cones. I use cones within my sessions all the time. I use them for not only marking out areas so that teachers and students know the boundaries which they are allowed to play in, they're great for using as demonstrations. These cones can be used as players and people to put in different positions to make it a little bit easier for teachers to understand. An example, I went to Trinidad and Tobago and I marked out an area. I was teaching children and I got them to play a game of tag. I forgot to tell them about the boundary area of which they played tag in, and they decided to all run off into the jungle, which was awful. They ran off and I had to get the team leaders to go and get them back from the jungle. They didn't have shoes on, which didn't make it very easy. However, if I'd have told them to stay within the yellow cones, they'd have managed to stay within the yellow cones. It's a great resource that I use all the time, especially with demonstrations. Sometimes like I've said before in the previous video, using a whiteboard when it's a bit rainy is quite hard. So by using cones, it makes it a lot easier to demonstrate where players can go and how they can run by doing overlaps and underloads. Another resource I use is not one that I've created, it's a FA Skills Primary Teacher Award link. This link is fantastic at not only showing the teachers where they need to sign up, it step by step shows them exactly what they'll be doing on my course, how to log in, once they're logged in, what they need to do. The only downside to it is when I used the Literate to try and find out what learning level it was graduate level. For those teachers that aren't very literate might struggle. And I'll be honest, I've had quite a few teachers get back to me at times saying that they've struggled trying to log on to the website because they don't understand how to click onto the next link. You know, pros, this can be accessed online, and it's a lot easier and saves time by going to the schools and setting this up with them. Cons, teachers that don't really understand it send emails back and forth, wasting time where we could be delivering the PTA straight away. It's also all done online, so I have had to create a paper document which makes it a little bit more easier for those students to try and learn how to do it. Overall, my favourite resource is probably my whiteboard. I take my whiteboard everywhere with me, and I've got loads of different colours. For not only those that are colourblind that may struggle, I've got loads of colours to mark out different boundaries. I might have an attacking colour, I might have a defending colour, so those teachers and students can find it a lot more clearer when delivering. I might also underline learning objectives in a specific colour, making it a bit more easier for my target to read.